A thriving city in the eastern part of Nigeria. There lived a man named Chief Okadigbo. He was the epitome of success, an Igbo tycoon with a fortune built on real estate, oil, and unshakable work ethic. His mansion stood like a fortress, adorned with marble columns, sprawling gardens, and a fleet of luxury cars parked out front. Okadigbo was a man that everyone in the city admired and envied. But for all his wealth, Okadigbo was a man burdened with sadness. Behind the golden gates of his mansion, he lived a life of isolation and regret. His laugh was shallow, his smile rare, and his night restless. No one could understand why a man who seemingly had everything, would find no joy in his riches. One fateful evening, during a lavish dinner party hosted for the city elites, Okadigbo did something unexpected. Rising from his seat, he clicked on his wine glass and addressed the room, his voice deep and sober. "My friends," he began, "I have a story to share, a story about riches, envy, and regret. It is a story about me." The room fell silent, all eyes on him. "I grew up in a small village," Okadigbo continued, his voice trembling with emotion. "We had little, but we had each other. My parents taught me the value of hard work and dreams. I was determined to rise above poverty, to become a man of wealth and influence. And so I did. But no one ever warned me about the price of riches." The girls exchanged puzzled glances, unsure of where he was going. "When I first made my fortune," Okadigbo said, "I thought I found happiness. I thought I could buy anything, cars, house, even influence. But soon I realized that wealth is a double-edged sword. Let me tell you why." Okadigbo leaned forward, his voice heavy with sorrow. "When you are rich, everyone wants something from you. They smile at you out of love. Not really out of love, but out of expectation. Your friends aren't real friends. They are opportunists, waiting for their share. Your family sees you as a solution to their problems, not as one who needs love and companionship." He paused, looking around the room. "Do you know how lonely it feels to sit in a mansion, surrounded by luxury, and have no one to truly talk to? The richer you are, the fewer people you can trust. You became a prisoner of your wealth." "Riches come with expectations," Okadigbo continues. "Everyone assumes you must always give. They say, 'You are rich. What is a little money to you?' But they don't see the sleepless nights, the anxiety, the endless demands. The more you give, the more they expect. And if you say no, they call you stingy. You are never enough." His voice grew darker. "The rich live in a constant fear. Fear of thieves, fear of kidnappers, fear of bad investment. I have spent countless nights awake, staring at the security camera's screen, wondering if someone will try to break into my home. I have lost friends to betrayers over money. Do you know what it's like to feel unsafe in your own home?" His expression softened. "When I visit my village, I see people, poor people, laughing with their families, eating simple meals, and finding joy in things I've long forgotten. Their lives are hard, yes, but their hearts are light. They sleep peacefully at night because they have little or nothing to lose. Their love is genuine because it's not tied to wealth. But I also understand why the poor envy the rich," he said, his tone introspective. "They see wealth as freedom. Freedom from hunger, freedom from debt, freedom from suffering. They see our cars, our houses, and think we all have it all. But what they don't see is the cost, the emptiness, the endless cycle of wanting more." He sighed deeply. "If I could trade places with a poor, I would. I would give up my fortune for a life filled with love, trust, and peace. But life doesn't work that way. The rich are trapped by their riches, just as the poor are trapped by their poverty. He looked at his guest, his eyes glittering with unshed tears. I tell you this story not to seek pity but to share a lesson. Riches will not save you, they will not make you happy. True happiness comes from love, from contentment, from being at peace with yourself and yourself. He raised his glass, his voice steady but emotional. To the poor I say, be careful what you wish for. To be rich I say, remember that your wealth is a gift, not a guarantee of happiness. Use it wisely and never forget the things money cannot buy. The room was silent as Okadigbo sat down. Some guests were moved to tears, others deep in thought. For the first time, they saw the man behind the riches, a man burdened by the very things they envied. His speech spread throughout the city, becoming a topic of conversation in the market, churches, and homes. Some dismiss it as the misusing of a man who had too much, while others saw it as a profound truth. As for Okadigbo, he began to change. He started spending more time in his village, reconnecting with the simple joy he had long forgotten. He donated much of his wealth to community projects, building schools, hospitals, and wells. Slowly, he found a sense of peace, not in riches, but in giving back. And though the world continued to envy him, Okadigbo no longer envied anyone. He had learned that the true measure of wealth was not in the money he had, but in the love and joy he could share with others. His transformation did not go unnoticed. In the village of Nkalagu, where he had spent his childhood running barefoot through dusty paths, his act of generosity began to reshape the community. Schools that had been crumbling for decades now stood tall with fresh coats of paint, filled with the laughter of children who no longer had to study under trees. Farmers were given grants to improve their crops. A health center was built to save the villagers who had long relied on traditional medicine for lack of alternative. But as Okadigbo immersed himself in this project, he still grappled with the memories of his wealth-driven past. He had spent years amassing fortunes, always thinking that the next acquisition would finally bring him peace. Instead, they had only left him hollow. One day, he sat beneath the shade of an ancient iroko tree in the village square. A small crowd had gathered, young men eager to hear tales of business success, women curious to know about his life, and the elders who remembered him as the boy who once fetched water from the communal stream. Why did you give up so much of your wealth? You could live as a king. He smiled faintly. The lines on his face deepened. Ah, my son, he began. You think wealth is everything, don't you? That it can buy happiness, peace, love. Let me tell you a story. Okadigbo leaned forward, addressing the crowd. There were once two men, Obinna and Eze. Obinna was a merchant, owning ships and lands, while Eze was a poor farmer who barely made enough to feed his family. One day, they met by the river. Obinna looked at Eze and said, "Why do you always smile, even when your life is so hard?" Eze replied, "Because I have my life, my family, the gift of life. What more do I need?" The merchant scoffed, "You are content with so little. If I give you my wealth, you would know the true happiness." But Eze shook his head and said, "If I give you my happiness, my peace, you would know true contentment." The villagers nodded thoughtfully, the weight of the story sinking in. Okadigbo continued his tale, reflecting on his personal journey. "When I was building my empire, I thought I was unstoppable." Okadigbo continued his tale, reflecting on his personal journey. "When I was building my empire, I thought I was unstoppable. But the more I gained, the more I lost time with family, trust in friends, and even my health. There were days I sat in my grand mansion, staring at gold-plated walls, and felt like a prisoner. It was then I realized that wealth without purpose is a burden. He gestures towards the village. Look around you. You share meals. You laugh together. You walk side by side. These are the things that matters. Wealth can build walls, but community break them down. An elder in the crowd, Mama Wando nodded approvingly. Okadigbo, your words remind me of what our ancestors used to say. Nwata kwọrọ aka, ọ na-ebe akwa. The child who stretches out his hands too long, he cry. Wealth should be a tool, not a master. Her words struck a chord with everyone present, and Okadigbo smiled warmly at the wise wisdom she shared. Over time, Okadigbo became known not for his riches, but for his humility and generosity. He started mentoring young men and women, teaching them not only the principles of business, but also the importance of compassion, integrity, and balance. He began hosting community gatherings where people could discuss their challenges and dreams. This event became a source of inspiration, with villagers feeling empowered to pursue their goals, knowing they had someone who believed in them. One day, a journalist from Lagos came to interview Okadigbo. She asked, "Do you regret being rich?" He thought for a moment before replying, "No, I don't regret it. My riches taught me a lesson I could not have learned otherwise. But if I had known what I know now, I would have spent my life differently from the start." The poor want to be rich because they see wealth as freedom, but they don't see the chance it brings. The rich, on the other hand, envy the poor for their peace, their laughter, their simplicity. The journalist nodded, scribing down his words. "So what is your advice to others?" Okadigbo looked into the distance, his voice steady. "Seek balance, strive for success, but don't lose your pursuit. Value relationship, community, and contentment. Remember, wealth is not measured by how much you have, but how much you can give and the joy that you bring."